Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review I'm very happy to be showing you one of my favorite Halo characters from the Jazwares Spartan collection line, the Arbiter, Thel. Not Ripa, Thel, the good Arbiter, the one that everybody loves, although I'm pretty sure everybody loves Ripa also. Anyway, this figure is one of the best and most disappointing releases for any line that I've seen lately. It does some of the best things that you can do in an action figure, and at the same time, it just says nope to everything else. So, I guess we should just get into it. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, first thing I want to do, before I get into anything else, I'll show you the back like I always do. It's part of Series 5. Those are the other ones in Series 5. I guess I have this. Should I review this, even though it's basically another Master Chief? I guess I should. Let me know what you think. And should I get Blue Team? Let me know what you guys think about that as well. And also, I heard that this Master Chief is different from the 2-pack one, so let me know if I should get that and review it. I'm not going to go with the Noble Team. I don't care about them. And I don't care about this. So let me know about those other three, though. But first, another first before we get into it. Boy, is that some generous photography. Look at that. Look at that sword compared to the one that he gets in the package. Could it be less cool? What is that? Giant fuzzball came out of the package. Alright, so look at that. Look at how dull and dim and uncool that looks compared to that. Oh my goodness. That's rough. Okay, let's go ahead and get on. Let's get on with it. Stop rambling, guy. That's me. Here we go. So, I'm going to measure him at this kind of pose, height-wise, because he doesn't stand straight up too much. So we'll just do it like this. I'm going to count... I'm not going to count the very tippity top of the spikes. I'm going to count like the main neck hump where that would be, just in case those of you who are caring about scale. It's about 19 centimeters. That way you guys can kind of figure it out. And it's about, let's say, 7 and 3/8, something like that, to not counting the spiky armor. Alright, and of course, we have to do a comparison. And the closest comparison for this version of Arbiter is this Master Chief that we also just got. And I have to say, they do look damn good next to each other because Jazwares is firing on like 6 of their 8 cylinders. It's just a problem that when you have an engine that's meant to fire on 8 cylinders, those last 2 kind of matter. Unless you have like an eco mode, but they're running on eco mode basically. Alright, anyway, there you go. So, I think the sizing is appropriate. Thel is beefy and huge. I think maybe he should be a little bit bigger. I don't really remember in Halo 5 when we had a chance to see them next to each other. Or Halo, which Halo was it? I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, it was 5, because he was talking to Dingleberry Johnson. I don't remember his name. Anyway, they look pretty good together. Okay, so there you go, and there he is up against the best Marvel Legends figure to ever be made. So, let's talk about the aesthetic on this guy. The sculpt work. It's exactly what it should be, mostly. Like, there's a few issues, and I'll tell you, but, like, all the detail work, it's in there. There's so much going on in the sculpt work on this guy that it's such a shame that the figure has the flaws that it has. They did a lot of work on this guy. It's got all of this plate work up here, which is not fun to make. I mean, from a company's perspective, that's expensive. They did skin texturing, musculature. It looks really good. They screwed this arm a little bit. I don't know what's going on here, because you have the plates on this side, like the outer portion. They're over here, but then up here they're straight like this. So I don't know, it's... And then the elbow just doesn't have any. I don't know what's going on with the sculpt work over here. That's super weird. But ultimately, the sculpt work is really nice. We have all the little straps and things. There's so much detail work going on that it's wonderful. The paint work, it lets it down kind of. Like, it's close enough, but it's also not. Like, you can see they did do the white airbrush bits that he's supposed to have. The red stripes are good. The gold's not very metallic at all, so that's a bummer. And the skin tone is just plasticky and cheap looking. They did do a little bit of coloration, though. It's like they're so close to being really good. You can see the 2 tones on the arm. It's not bad. But then they went and screwed this up. Like, that paint job works if his arm is bent backwards, like he's being held by a police officer and they're trying to do that to him. So, what the heck? Then the eyes are just not even close to where they're supposed to be. Like, you can see them, so that's good. But if you actually look at the sculpt, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, they're not where they belong. So it's like so close to looking really good, but then it doesn't. So a decent paint job, just like most of the Jazwares figures, would go a long way, a custom paint job. at one of these days, guys, when I have free time, I'm just going to do a whole series of me just repainting figures in my collection to make them look better, like slight mods and repaint. And I think that'll be a fun series, but I don't have the time for it at all right now. So aesthetically speaking, I want to give it a 9, and they're so close to getting a 9, but it's going to get like a 7 because there's a lot wrong with it too. Part of the aesthetic problem is the articulation, which we'll get to. Now, as far as accessories go, we have a few different hands. Okay, so for the right side where we have the armor, we get the fist hand, 2 different gripping hands, and then a wide open hand. And for the left side with no armor, we get the fist hand, an open hand, and whatever that hand is. I guess that's like a secondary hand for holding the gun, so that's okay. And then for guns, we do have the pulse rifle. I can't remember if that's what it's called. It's been a while. So we do have that gun. It's actually pretty well painted. Looks pretty nice. And we get this sword, which I can't remember what his sword's name is because it's been so long since I played this game. And it's definitely not as orange as it should be, but it looks okay. So accessory-wise, 5 out of 10. 7 out of 10, I guess, if you really want to be generous. Okay, here's the problem. As is usually the case with Jazwares, the articulation is questionable. The head's on a swivel hinge, so you get your swivel right there, and then you get a little bit of a hinge. It looks down, and it looks a little bit up. I think that's fine. That's a perfectly okay joint. It should have just been a ball peg, though. So much cheaper, so much easier. Just do a ball peg. Shoulder joint is a standard ball hinge. It doesn't go down any farther than that, but you can raise it up nicely, and of course it has its rotation. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, that's all standard and good. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. That's all fine. Let's try this side, because we do have this armor piece, which is not flexible. Uh-oh, that joint just feels... Oh, I wasn't... That's weird. Okay, so the joint does go down, and goes pretty far up. I think that's okay. You still get your bicep swivel. You get your bends. This elbow is definitely weird, but you still get your swivel and your hinge at the wrist. So far, so good. You're thinking, what's the problem? Well, this is the problem right here. His torso is a floppy disaster. It's a ball peg, which actually has decent enough range, even though the armor keeps catching itself, but his torso is a floppy mess. There's no secondary torso joint, so it's just that one up there. And that would be fine if it was stiff and made to work well enough, but it wasn't. But then the hips are also just a floppy mess. They're just standard old school ball pegs, but they can't hold him up. He's too big and chunky, and they're floppy. And so between the hips and the torso, he just kind of doubles over, and it's really a problem. Now you might be able to just pop him off, throw a sheet of paper in there, pop him back on, and you're good to go. But as it is in the package, it's super floppy. Range-wise is enough for Arbiter. You're not getting a ton anywhere, but it's okay. And there is a thigh swivel, so that's pretty good. It would be fine if they just like the last few yards, and they would be there. So for the knee, it's a swivel hinge. It has really good range, and it's ratcheted, so that's okay. The swivel is a little bit loose. I could definitely do without that. This joint down here is another swivel hinge. Doesn't have the best range, and it's not as loose, so that's okay. And then the ankle is another swivel hinge. It could be tighter, but it's okay. The rotation is just about worthless, though. Like, please fix your ankles. You need to have that ball down in the ankle and going forward to make the rotation worth anything. This is useless. Guys, please hire me for free. I would definitely help you for free. All I want is some credit. And then we get a toe hinge for each tootsie, each little tootsie part. You get a separate toe hinge, which is pretty cool. And they actually did a decent job. There's not a ton of range to them, but it's there. So, yeah, the articulation's almost really good on this guy. It's just that floppy mess, and then some limitations that are weird. But he's so close to being a really good figure. I'll give the articulation, not counting the looseness, like an 8. It's not bad. It could be better. But including that looseness, it's a 5. He's just a floppy mess. You have to really balance him to get him to not fall. So, final thoughts on this figure. As a fan, as a collector, I really enjoy it, and I'm going to do something to make it work a little bit better. And it's got that bulk and that heft that it represents the character well, but the articulation problems and the paint problems and the saturation issues, it's underwhelming and disappointing. But there's enough good bones. It's like buying a fixer-upper for a house. There's enough there that I think most people are going to like it, and those who want to are going to make it a whole lot better. A whole lot better. I'll bet my buddy Joe already did that. I'll bet you he already got one and painted it. I can't remember if he did, but he does that with the Jazwares, and they look really good. If he wants, I'll link something so you guys can see what he does. They look pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to give this one a final rating of a 7 out of 10. The problems definitely hold it back. It does have enough good stuff going for it, though, that I think if you're a Halo fan, like, you're going to want to get it. But if you're not a Halo fan, it's too problematic. I don't think you're going to want to put up with it. That's the way I look at it. So I like it as a fan, and as a reviewer, it's just, it's disappointing, but probably good enough. So yeah, 7 out of 10. There it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.